What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs. If this is your first time here, where you been? We've been at this for 6 years. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead. It's free. Free things are good. You know what never falls into the free category? Property tax. There are states with no income tax, other states with no sales tax, but unfortunately, there's no such thing as a state with no property tax. It's like a unicorn. Doesn't exist. But some states are reasonable and others sort of gouge you when it comes to property tax. And that's what we're looking at today. The states that stick it to you on property tax. Almost 70% of Americans own at least one home. If you're a renter, rest assured your landlord has you paying at least a portion of the property tax. This video is based on the US Census data from 2020. That survey tells us that the average American homeowner pays a little under $2,500 a year in property tax. In this video, we will show you what you would pay annually for a home if it was $217,000, which is the median home value nationally, and what the median home value for the state is. Let's take a look. Number 10, Rhode Island. Rhode Island, or Little Rhodey as some people call it, and be prepared, the comment section will be filled with people from Rhode Island, all three of them, that tell us that nobody calls it Little Rhodey. Rhode Island has some pretty high real estate taxes, probably because it's so small. It's actually the smallest state we have in the Union, and on top of it already being small, about 14% of it is water. So geographically, the state is sort of over the barrel when it comes to property tax, so it's got to be kind of high just to make some money. The effective real estate or property tax is 1.63%. If you were to tax that median home price, the $217,000, you'd be paying about $3,548 a year. The median home value in Rhode Island is $261,900. So if you got a house at that price in Rhode Island, you'd be paying $4,272 a year in property tax. Number 9, New York State. The Empire State is expensive in so many different ways, this is just another one. But if you live in New York State, or especially New York City, you're kind of used to paying high prices for everything. There was actually a restaurant in New York City a few years ago that was selling chicken wings with 24-karat gold flakes in the sauce. I'm not even kidding. It was $45 for 10, $90 for 20, and you can get more if you want, but you better bring a credit card. That was like 3 years ago, and if they're still selling them, I'm sure they're more expensive by now. The effective real estate tax in New York is 1.72%, meaning if you bought the $217,000 median price home, you're looking at about $3,749 a year. The median home value in New York State is $313,700, meaning if you bought that house, you would be paying $5,407 a year in property tax. Now, with all these states, keep in mind, that's just the median price. There's a lot of people paying 10 times that much for some of these million-dollar homes. We're just sticking with what us normal folks can afford. Number 8, Nebraska. The Cornhusker state comes in at number 8, and being in the middle America, you'd think everything would be cheap. That's like one of the unwritten rules of the United States. If you're gonna live in the middle of America, everything's supposed to be cheaper. And you don't get much more middle America than Nebraska. I mean, it's the center of the frickin' country. Nebraska's effective real estate tax or property tax is 1.73%. So if you bought that $217,000 home, it would cost you $3,754 a year for your property tax. The median home value in Nebraska is pretty cheap. The median state value is $155,800, which means you'd be paying about $2,689 a year for the median or kind of average home. Median and average are different, but it's just easier for a lot of people to understand that it's the average. Kinda is. And right now, someone's in the comments section explaining to us the difference between median and average. So go to that and look at it. There'll be a whole bunch of them. Number 7, Texas. The Lone Star State is a very popular state for a lot of different reasons, but just about everyone I know, everyone I've talked to that moves to Texas and buys a home complains about the property tax. Luckily, their homes, on average, are still reasonable compared to other states that are popular. So even though they got a pretty high rate, you're really not going to be paying that much for a state, like I said, that is very popular, has a lot of things to offer. I just said in a recent video that I think their popularity is going to start working against them in the coming years. years. Prices will go up, things will get more expensive, it'll get too crowded. These things happen when a state is popular. Look at New York State, who's been popular forever, and California. Perfect examples of being victims of their own success or popularity. Anyway, the real estate tax in Texas is 1.80%, and if you bought that $217,000 home in Texas, you would be paying $3,907 a year. The median home price or value in Texas is $172,500, meaning if you bought that house, you would be paying about $3,099 a year in property tax. Number 6, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is one of the best places to move if you want to raise a family. That's sort of my opinion, and a lot of other people feel that way too. So a lot of people relocate there every year, and I think in the coming years, more will be doing that. So you should probably know about their real estate prices and taxes before you go. The effective real estate tax in Wisconsin is 1.85%, meaning if you bought that $217,000 home, you're looking at about $4,027 annually. The median home price here is pretty low. They do have some cities and stuff that you're going to find some extremely expensive homes, but their median is pretty low. It's $180,600. And if you bought that house, you're looking at about $3,344 a year in property tax. Number 5, Vermont. The Green Mountain State isn't that large. It's nowhere near as small as Rhode Island, but they are ranked 45th in the nation in area, which means theoretically they should have some higher property taxes than other states just so they can keep the lights on. Vermont's one of those states that I think will see an increase in population as more and more remote workers kind of start working from home. They have a lot of rural areas that should be getting internet in the next 5 or 10 years because of the new infrastructure thing. That's one of the main things they're doing is putting high-speed internet out into the rural areas, and Vermont is one of the states that will benefit from this the most. But their effective real estate tax is 1.90%, meaning you buy that $217,000 home in Vermont, it's going to cost you $4,135 annually in property tax. If you buy the median for the state, which is $227,700, that's not terrible. Vermont's a nice state, but you'd be paying $4,329 for that. Number 4, Connecticut. Connecticut, again, is a smaller state. It's actually ranked 48th in area, so again, they gotta have some pretty high taxes to pay for things. There is some good news. They have some really expensive properties in Connecticut, and a lot of really wealthy families live in this state, so I'm sure they're making a good chunk of change when it comes to property taxes. Connecticut is also home to a dude named Gary who likes to email me every time I mention the state and give me little various threats. He's a lot of fun. And it all stems from a time when I said the Kings play at the Staples Center. The Los Angeles Kings are a hockey team. There's also a basketball team called the Sacramento Kings. I mentioned growing up in LA, we used to go see the Kings when they played at the Forum and then later on at the Staples Center. And Gary put in the comments section that I was a fool because I didn't even know that the Kings played in Sacramento. Needless to say, the comments section lit poor Gary up, and now his life's mission is to email me every time I mention Connecticut. So I'll let you know what Gary says this time. But if Gary was able to afford a house in Connecticut, his effective property tax would be 2.14%, meaning if Gary bought the $217,000 house, he'd be paying $4,658 annually in property tax. The median home value in Connecticut is $275,400, meaning if you bought that house, you're looking at about $5,898 annually in property tax. Number 3, New Hampshire. Like I've said many times, if the Green Mountain State's on a list, Vermont, the Granite State, New Hampshire is going to be on that list too. They are always on the same list. They're right next to each other, and it honestly looks like they should really just be their own state. Just one, push them together, call it good. Like Vermont, it's becoming more and more popular to move to New Hampshire now that people are working from home. And like Vermont and Rhode Island and Connecticut, they're not that big. They're ranked 46 in area, so of course they got to have some pretty high property taxes to pay for those paramedics and ambulance drivers that show up when you've had one too many apple cider donuts and slipped into a diabetic coma. So if you've never heard of this, they do have apple cider donuts in New Hampshire. They have it other places, but New Hampshire's kind of known for this. They're delicious, and it is easy to eat a few too many of them. The effective real estate property tax in New Hampshire is 2.18%, meaning buy that $217,000 house, it's going to be $4,738 annually. The median home value in New Hampshire is $261,000. $61,700. If you bought that house, you're looking at $5,701 annually in property taxes. Now, keep in mind, I'm just giving you the averages and the medians in here. There are homes that are cheaper and there's homes that are more expensive. This is just the middle of the road. That's for every state on this list. Every state in the United States doesn't have to be on this list. It's how the world works. Number 2, Illinois. If you don't know where Illinois is, it's the land that surrounds Chicago. I've mentioned it before, actually just recently, but I think it's strange that a lot of people think Chicago and New York are their own thing. Like they're not in a state. They're like Washington, D.C. or something like that. You would be shocked how many people actually think that. It's weird. Chicago and the rest of Illinois has some pretty high property tax. Their effective real estate tax is 2.27%, meaning if you bought that $217,000 home in Illinois, you're looking at almost $5,000, $4,942 to be exact. Now, the median home price or value in Illinois is pretty low, but really Chicago is extremely expensive. But the median home value in Illinois is $194,500, meaning if you bought that house, you're looking at $4,419 a year in property tax. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link down below. We'd love it if you go over there and subscribe. Subscribe to this channel too if you haven't. All right, on to number 1. And number 1. New Jersey. That's right, the Garden State sticks it to you everywhere. They've got high taxes in every way, shape, or form they can come up with. Many years ago, they were one of the states that was actually looking into ways where they could tax you or charge you a couple pennies for every email you sent. This is back when email was just starting out. I read that and I was like, that's really weird. But hey, they tried it along with anything else they can try and tax on you. New Jersey is notoriously one of the most high tax states in the union. That's one of the reasons so many people are flooding out of there. It's not that cost of living's high. I mean, it sort of is, and so is home prices, but the taxes really get you here. The effective real estate tax rate is 2.49% in New Jersey. The annual taxes on that $217,000 home is $5,419. Now, New Jersey median home value is $335,600, meaning if you bought that median price home, you're looking at $8,362 annually in property tax. That's brutal. Now, that's just the middle. You know, think how much higher some of these people are paying there. All right, that's today's list. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. And go out, have a great day. Be nice to each other.